Tulsi Gabbard. She's thanking Trump for his unwavering leadership, especially with the Zelensky situation and the showdown in the Oval Office. Let's listen to what Tulsi has to say about that showdown. Oh, actually, it's a post. So I just saw a video of her talking about it, so I thought we were putting that up. But here's the post. She says, "Thank you, @Real Donald Trump, for unwavering leadership and standing up for the interests of the American people and peace. What you said is absolutely true. Zelensky has been trying to drag the United States into a nuclear war with Russia, World War III, for years now, and no one has ever called him out on it. Thank you, Vice President J.D. Vance, for speaking out so forcefully and clearly about the necessity of diplomacy." Shannon, she also posted a video talking about how Zelensky, basically banned his opposition and seized all of that person's assets. So she's definitely not a fan. A lot of people agreeing with that message. Your thoughts?
Yeah, she's been very critical of President Zelensky for a long time. And she has said from the beginning that Russia had what she saw as legitimate concerns about Ukraine joining NATO, then NATO being right there on the border with Russia. And I'm going to probe with her this morning because she's going to join us this morning, her first Sunday show doing Fox News Sunday since becoming the DNI. What does she feel now? About who started this, how it's supposed to end? She's been very critical of Ukraine and Zelensky as a leader. So I think there are a lot of questions there to get answered. Clearly, she thought what happened in the Oval Office on Friday was President Trump showing strength. And a lot of people feel that way, as awkward as it got, that Americans have been pouring billions of taxpayer dollars into Ukraine with no end in sight. And a lot of people here in America were sort of ready for what happened there on Friday and felt like it was a good thing, and she's among them.
And Shannon, we talked about this for 4 hours yesterday. After the show, I heard from somebody on the Trump team who was in the room for these negotiations and was talking about how something that is lost in all of this is that it started out so warmly, but that now, moving forward, unless, what I'm told by this person, it's ultimately up to President Trump, but that at this point, unless Zelensky makes an explicit public apology, then all bets are off for this mineral deal, and things are just going to be at a standstill. What do you think is more important to the White House at this point? Meeting President Trump's goal of ending the war within 100 days, his first 100 days, which is April 30th, or just exacting this apology and a mineral deal from Zelensky?
Yeah, I think ultimately he does. Peter, as you said, he wants to get this done. He campaigned on this, on ending this. He talks about the constant bloodshed on both sides, hundreds of thousands of people gone forever from their families and from the future of that country. I think he's a deal maker. I think we all know that at the end of the day, he wants to get this thing done. And he started to feel like, this White House has started to feel like Zelensky is a roadblock to getting that done. There's also been a lot of growing frustration that I've heard from folks who have been in some of these meetings, and some of this has been discussed publicly as well. Meetings with people like Secretary Besson, Vice President Vance, and Secretary Rubio, having conversations with Zelensky that have been very heated, trying to move things forward, and then coming out in some cases feeling like what he said with them privately was then misrepresented as something else publicly. So this wasn't like this just blew up on Friday. You guys know that this has been building for a while.
Before we get to what else you have going on the show today, you've been covering Washington for a long time. Do you ever remember a more sort of explosive, public, open meeting in the White House than what we saw on Friday?
Definitely not in the Oval. I think we all know this is how these guys talk to each other behind closed doors. I think we all expect that. It's going to get rough and tumble. They're going to raise their voices. They're going to have arguments. But for it to spill out so publicly after all of these other foreign visits this week with Macron and with Starmer that were very diplomatic, and they have differences with President Trump for sure, but they were very effusive in their praise while they're on U.S. soil sitting in the Oval Office. So it was a little bit stunning that this thing devolved to the way it did, and I cannot say I've seen anything like that at the White House ever.
But what is the impact of that? Do you think that it's an overall good, like it's transparency, we're seeing what's done, American people can see Zelensky as he is, like him or not? Or do you think that this is not a good thing? What is your view, as Charlie said, having had this experience?
Yeah, I felt very cringe as it was happening. I happened to be at the White House for a completely separate meeting that did not involve this. And when I walked out of the meeting, this had just gone down, and it was like shell shock over there. I mean, and I'm looking around and people are saying like, I think the press conference is going to be canceled. I'm like, what just happened while we were in this other meeting over there? I mean, there was definitely, like radiation fallout that was rippling through the place over there. I don't know. When you think about Europe watching this, when you think about Xi watching this, Putin watching this, you've got a lot of praise from the Russians. And, a lot of folks think that that's not a good thing. Recent polling out that we'll talk about on the show this morning shows 81% of Americans do not think that we should trust Putin. So while they may have problems with Zelensky, they really do not like Putin either. And he was watching the meeting, and a lot of his folks are out there celebrating it this morning. Yeah. So.
And when Shannon says that she had a totally separate meeting at the White House, she also does a lot of work with rare earth minerals.
As I do.
I'm sure that that's part of the show today.
This ring right here, no, has nothing to do with it. No, but listen, Peter, you're my old roommate from D.C.
It's true. So, office mate. I mean, roommate, office mate, it's fine.
I have to bring that up all the time.
I would say,
but yes.
we were just talking about old movies. When I got to Washington, D.C., and they put me in the office with Shannon, the Nacho Libre poster on the wall was already there. That was Shannon's.
Yes, I still have that up. I think it's very classy, and it's the message of Fox News Sunday.
You still have that in your office?
Heck yeah. I've got that and Napoleon Dynamite. That and Napoleon Dynamite. I feel like those are classics that cannot be ignored.
Shannon Bream, pure class. Who else do you have on the show today?
Well, we've got Senator Chris Van Hollen, Democrat who's on the Foreign Relations Committee, not really thrilled about what he saw on Friday. And he too thinks that our enemies and those who do not wish the U.S. well are celebrating this thing. So we've got both sides of this conversation and a legal panel because there are a few legal cases to break down.
All right. Well,
Shannon, thank you so much.
Thanks, Shannon.
As always.
See you guys.
Get back to your
Peter,
Nacho
come
Libre.
home.
Yeah.
And Napoleon Dynamite. Bye.
Yep. Bye.